Right, welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. We've got an update on this Spider-Man, Sony, Marvel, Disney situation. I will say this is an update, but then also further to that, probably why you clicked on the video itself, is that Spider-Man is going to become part of the VENOM universe, which is kind of what we expected anyway. Now, I've had a lot of people come at me saying, oh, I guess you were wrong then, blah, 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 about Sony and Marvel essentially participating in a bit of a publicity stunt. I mean, look, only time will tell. I wouldn't say that any of this is definitive proof either way. And I think you'd have to be naive to really think that that is the case, especially from, well, Disney and massive arguable powerhouse, and Sony, a company that would obviously want to be making money with Disney. And in theory, if it isn't a PR stunt, then Disney are even more stupid than they seem to be making out for all the other things that they've been doing, and even more greedy than they appear for all of the other things they seem to be doing. So it's actually in their best interests for it to become a PR stunt. And the reason why I say that is that anyone who works within the industry is well aware of how utterly ludicrous the proposition was that Disney went to Sony. So, like I say, a lot of people have given me some flack saying this, that, and the other. That's fine. Believe what you like. I fully stand by my comments still. And failing that, it still doesn't reflect very good on Disney. Anyway, so let's get into this. This is courtesy of Variety. In fact, this is their article. It's their piece. They sat down and spoke with Tony Vinciquerra of Sony Pictures. He's the CEO and chair. So it says, fans holding out hope that Spider-Man might be returning to the Marvel Cinematic Universe will be disappointed to hear that for the moment, the door is closed. Now again, still ambiguous. Talks are still ongoing. I firmly believe that. And now this is, of course, according to Sony Pictures chairman and CEO Tony Vinciquerra. Speaking at Variety's Entertainment and Technology Summit, Vinciquerra cryptically added that it's a long life, implying that perhaps in the distant future, the web-slinging hero might swing his way back to the Disney-owned company. Well, that's the thing. Everyone's been really, really vague. Everyone's just been consummate professionals about it all. So there is absolutely no reason why... Well, there's no reason to suspect that talks are still not ongoing. There have been some reports by other trades that talks are still ongoing. And this, I would say, implies that as well. Now, they continue and say Vinciquerra insisted that there is no ill will, so again, going back to that consummate professionalism, between Sony and Marvel after the two failed to reach an agreement on financing terms for upcoming Spider-Man movies, effectively removing Tom Holland's Spider-Man from the Marvel fold in terms of both future standalone and team-up features. However, he also did acknowledge that the fan backlash to the news, saying that it has been an interesting couple of weeks for the studio. I've never really understood why Sony got all the backlash. It was Disney that went with the baffling proposition, especially while, and again, people are like, oh, Sony's greedy. Disney make a lot more money from Spider-Man as an IP than Sony do. Really important to note. Vinciquerra pointed to Marvel boss Kevin Feige being stretched incredibly thin, with new additions coming to the MCU was one of the reasons behind the breakdown in talk. So kind of very stayed on point with that, which I thought initially, I thought that was a very professional outlook, because it's something which everyone can go, oh yeah, that's true. There's no reason why, why would they? That's absolutely fine. That makes sense. But a bunch of people thought that was kind of Sony throwing shade. I completely disagree. We had a great run with Feige on Spider-Man movies, with Sony chief saying, we tried to see if there was a way to work it out. The Marvel people are terrific people. We have great respect for them. But on the other hand, we have some pretty terrific people of our own. Kevin didn't do all the work, which is true. I don't say that's throwing shade at anyone. I mean, is it solely Kevin Feige? No, of course it isn't. And again, to think otherwise is really putting far too much praise on one man. Is he monumental in it? Yeah, probably. But it's not all him, and, it's a collaborative effort. There's no, I in team, me in team, all that kind of nonsense. Now that one of its biggest properties is back solely in its hands, Vinciquerra said that Sony Pictures plans to launch its own universe using the vast array of Spider-Man characters, which is what they've been trying to do for ages. They're slowly doing it now with the Venom universe, I guess, and the Spider-Man properties, but maybe putting it into the Venom universe. Now, interestingly enough, is this something which they knew was happening? Hence why we get Morbius and also potentially the Kraven, the Living Vampire. And maybe, again, because you've got to remember, Venom was a smash hit for Sony. It 850 million worldwide, right? Was this something which they knew was going to be happening? Was it something which was planned? Was a breakup on the cards all the time? Because we haven't had Venom 2 announced. We know that it's happening now, but it's not something which they fast-tracked, which is nigh on, 9/10 of the time, the likelihood when a movie is as successful as Venom is, because they want to capture that moment again and keep it fresh in the Gen Pop's mind. So I would say that this does give some legitimacy to that theory as well, that they paused, that they knew this breakup was going to be happening. And off the back end of that, that's why we haven't had Venom. That's why we've been getting this Morbius, Kraven, things like that. Because then they can start to rework Spider-Man into all of that. But more pivotally, they can put Spider-Man in the second Venom movie. That's my thoughts anyway. And again, I'd love to hear yours, so please do let me know down below. Now, the studio is in production on a second Venom film, which they are only just now. A picture based on the character Morbius, and 5 or 6 TV series set in the Spider-Man world, which recently Tom Holland may have teased that his next project is a TV project, which added some fuel to the fire that maybe he was going to be doing Spider-Man on TV, but again, who knows. Now, the Sony boss bullishly expressed his belief that the character will do just fine outside of the MCU, pointing to the success of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and the Sony Amazon series The Boys. I did not know Sony was on that, because The Boys is fantastic. I've been hounded to watch this show, and I got to it late late in the game, and I will say it's absolutely amazing. It's really, really good fun. There's literally nothing that detracts from it, to be perfectly honest. The only thing that detracts from it is probably if you're familiar with the source material, which I'm not. But I didn't know Sony was on that, and if they were, then their resume is now getting much, much better. I'm of no illusion that the past Sony projects have been trash, but they seem to have got in some new people in the works. So who knows? Now, as evidence that Sony is fully capable of hitting the mark on the superhero front, Spider-Man... where is it? Here we go. Spider-Man was fine before the event movies, did better with the event movies, and now that we have our own universe, he will play off the other characters as well. I think we're pretty capable of doing what we have to do here. And that's the other thing, like, a script is good, but, it's a collaboration. The actors have to be on point. Tom Holland is good in the role. He's not suddenly not going to be the Spider-Man that we know. So if you like him as Spider-Man, he's always going to be the same Spider-Man. But now you're going to see him bounce off newer characters, which he wouldn't have done before. Now, many have expressed the hope that Spider-Man might still remain in the MCU, with Marvel stalwart Jon Favreau commenting during his keynote conversation at the Entertainment and Tech Summit that the split is not for lack of trying. I've been talking to everybody about it. I'm cautiously optimistic, Favreau said. I think it's a long way away, and I think the collaboration has been really strong up to this point. So I'm hopeful that there's a way for us all to pull together going forward, which, again, everyone's just been very professional. Now, Vincent Kerr did go off the back end of that and say that the whole Sony Studios as a whole is not for sale, which is interesting because I think, we've heard that numerous times, to be honest, but they also said that there was a lot of the leaks weren't true, and then they were anyway, so it was quite funny, to be honest. Now, there is also a decision which he said allows Sony to be more transparent with its creators by not becoming beholden to any platform. Interesting. Now, Vincent Kerr went on to say, now this is probably some of the most interesting stuff anyway, said that when he first came to Sony in 2017, he saw the need to make sweeping changes at the studio to keep up with the rise of streaming. With the evolution of the business into the streaming world, both on the theatrical and television side, the opportunities are terrific, but the organizations that were in place at the time were not suited or designed to take advantage of those opportunities. We were able to transition in a relatively short period of time to be representative of what the business looks like, and that's what I enjoy doing. That's what's fun about the job. Now, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. But they make absolutely no qualms about saying that Sony will be facing off against, well, basically Venom. So there you go. Look, what do you think of this? What are your thoughts on all of this? I'd love to hear it, so please do let me know down below in the comment section. If you're new here, make sure you hit subscribe. Stay up to date on the world of pop culture, movie news, movie reviews, and deep dives on the industry just like this. I'll be watching it pretty much as this video drops, I think. So please do stay tuned for my review out later today. As always, I have been Mr. H. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.